All right, let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're looking at a fascinating source text called The Case for Cardano, Building and Holding for the Future. And look, we're not just going to skim the surface here. We're going to really unpack the core strategic and technological arguments the author is making for this ecosystem. We'll explore the nuts and bolts driving the network, the community dynamic, and that big, overarching vision that basically defines the Cardano roadmap. So let's get into it. Now, this whole deep dive really kicks off with one super direct question from our source material. Why should someone build and hold Cardano? That's the million-dollar question, right? We're digging into the actual fundamental motivations here. Like, why would developers pour their time and users commit their hard-earned capital into this specific network instead of literally anywhere else? To figure that out, we actually just need to look at the title of the piece itself, The Case for Cardano, Building and Holding for the Future. That phrasing lays out the author's core thesis. They're making the argument that the network's value hinges entirely on this dual-engine mechanism. Basically, the case is that you absolutely need active, rigorous development paired right up with rock-solid economic security. According to the text, that's the only real way a blockchain can hit its full long-term potential. So, looking at those core title components, we've got the case, building, holding, and the future. We'll be using these 4 pieces as our roadmap today. All right, let's start with Pillar 1, building. So what do we actually mean by building? Well, the source defines it as the active process of creating, developing, and constructing within the ecosystem. We're talking about a relentless expansion of network utility here. It's not just about, writing some code in a vacuum. It's about deploying complex smart contracts, launching decentralized apps, and really growing a peer-reviewed developer space. It's about leveraging the architecture to engineer secure, scalable solutions that bring actual, real-world utility to the blockchain. In this context, building means pushing that technological frontier forward every single day. Moving right along, we have Pillar 2, holding. Now, holding is defined here as the long-term retention, support, and belief in the foundation being built. But you gotta understand, for this ecosystem, holding is way more than just passively letting assets sit in a wallet. The source draws a direct line between holding and actual network security, as well as decentralization. Because Cardano uses a proof-of-stake consensus mechanism, holders are actively contributing to the economic stability of the chain. By staking and delegating their assets to stake pools, these participants are literally providing the secure, decentralized bedrock that processes transactions and makes the whole machine run. When we put them side by side, comparing building, that active creation and development on the left, with holding, the long-term retention and support on the right, the source makes something incredibly clear. These are absolutely not competing interests. It's a deeply symbiotic relationship. On the left side, active creation sparks new use cases and drives innovation. And on the right side, that long-term retention provides the crucial security and liquidity you need for those exact use cases to safely thrive. And that brings us to the synergy building plus holding. That little plus sign, or the word "and" in the title, is the absolute critical takeaway from the author's argument. Think about it. Builders rely completely on holders. If the network wasn't highly decentralized and staked, the apps being built would be super vulnerable and totally lack liquidity. But flip it around, and holders rely on builders just as much. They need developers to keep innovating and driving real-world adoption so the network's value actually grows. The ecosystem simply cannot scale unless both of these sides are operating together in a continuous, endless feedback loop of growth and security. Okay, so we've got the creation of utility and we've got the retention of value. But why do both? What's the ultimate payoff for putting these two powerful forces together? Well, it's all for the future. The source channels all of this combined effort toward a highly specific vision of what's to come. We're talking about an ecosystem that aims to move way past just basic transactions. The text envisions widespread financial inclusion, self-sovereign identity, and a truly resilient infrastructure for both individuals and massive enterprises worldwide. Basically, the goal is to build the operating system for a more decentralized world. So, what exactly is the future in this context? The text defines it as the long-term temporal destination that justifies the present actions of building and holding. And importantly, it's not framed as some vague, pie-in-the-sky dream. It's a deliberate, multi-stage roadmap. The author argues that Cardano's methodical, step-by-step approach to scaling and decentralized governance, which ultimately hands complete control over to the community, is the true end goal. That robust roadmap is the anchor. It's exactly what justifies all that intense, peer-reviewed development and all that steadfast staking we're seeing right now. When you break it down, the source's formula is actually pretty elegant. Step 1, build. You create robust utility through methodical development.
Step 2, hold. You sustain and secure that network through dedicated holding and staking. And step 3, the future. You ultimately arrive at a fully realized, self-sustaining, decentralized ecosystem. It's a very logical, chronological progression.
And that brings our explainer full circle, right back to the overarching premise, the case for Cardano. The final, really compelling argument the source lands on is that this exact combination is what makes the network stand out. A rigorous, evidence-based approach to technological development, backed by a highly decentralized, economically committed community, that combination creates a uniquely resilient network. It's one built to last for generations, not just something designed to survive a few fleeting market cycles.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a question derived straight from the source's vision. Think about this. How will the actions of building and holding today ultimately define the future? If this powerful dual engine of ongoing creation and dedicated retention keeps scaling and actually hits those roadmap milestones, what does that decentralized world of tomorrow really look like? It's definitely something to chew on. Thanks so much for joining me for this breakdown, and keep exploring.